and thank you for joining us on this special occasion. I'm Lorraine Chow, Communications Specialist for the South Carolina Environmental Law Project, or Scelp. And I'm here today with members of my Scelp family right here in our Georgetown office on Church Street. We'll be talking about how your Palmetto Giving Day donations are needed for Scelp to continue our efforts to protect South Carolina's land, water, wildlife, and the communities that depend on these natural resources. So Amy, you're the perfect person to ask this question. So can you tell us, why is it important to protect the environment, and how does Scelp do that work?
A good question, and I think I'll just start with like the big picture, which is that all life depends on a healthy, viable, functioning ecosystem. And humans, of course, are part of that ecosystem, and as a result, we rely on other plant and animal species for our own survival. And whether it's clean water to drink, or clean air to breathe, or our wetlands and forests that absorb floodwaters and provide valuable habitat for an array of wildlife species, to our estuaries, which provide the base of the food chain for all marine life. All of those things are needed for our own health and the health of our planet. And it's important because if we don't safeguard against threats that would degrade or cause a loss in those resources, then we're not protecting our own health and lives and future generations. And aside from all of that, we also have to think about the fact that we all love being outside in our natural environment, whether it's hunting and fishing out in the forests, whether it's boating in our rivers, or just recreating on the beach. All of that is so important also for our mental health. So, and how does Scelp do that? Scelp uses the strong arm of the law to prevent against degradation of the quality of our natural environment. And we do that in a lot of different ways. We provide legal advice and guidance to citizens and groups that are trying to protect their quality of their communities. A lot of times we end up having to go into courtroom litigation to challenge projects that would degrade or destroy either wetlands or water quality or wildlife habitats. And so we use legal tools to advocate for the protection of our natural resources.
Sounds like a lot of great work, I might say. I'd like to ask Bess this question next. You are one of Scelp's newest board members, but also a member of the community. I'd like to ask you, what makes Palmetto Giving Day special for you, and how does it feel to donate to Scelp?
Palmetto Giving Day is an incredible platform that the Bunnell Foundation provides for all of Georgetown County, any nonprofits serving Georgetown County, and we have a wonderful community in Georgetown County of people who want to give back and contribute to those in need. And so the lead up to Palmetto Giving Day has great energy and great buzz to it from those of us who work with the nonprofits. There's a sense of anticipation about meeting fundraising goals or making new connections with new supporters and what we can achieve for the coming year. As well as from the perspective of the donors, I think anybody who has never participated will enjoy it. Anybody who has already participated, I think, looks forward to it again each year to just learn more about all the amazing work that is being done in this county to help others, Scelp being at the top of the list.
Well, we love having you on our team. We're really proud of you as also a member of this community. I'm also very connected to Palmetto Giving Day too, so this is a special occasion. So Filippo, as the Director of Operations, you do a lot of day-to-day things, but you also think about really big picture things like fighting pollution and trying to stop flooding. How does Scelp fight for the South Carolina you want to see?
Well, easy question. I would say we go the extra mile and leave no stone unturned, but most importantly, we enable our clients, partners, and allies to do so as they pursue environmental protection and justice goals. Whether it is concerned citizens, conservation, environmental groups, vulnerable frontline communities, or even the local governments we from time to time partner with, we really empower them, as Amy was alluding a minute ago, to use these very powerful and complex systems of laws that we have, and which I also think is one of the greatest assets we have in a liberal democracy. And we do so with dogged determination, which was instilled in the organization from the founder, that's been carried over by Amy in an amazing way, and is already being picked up by the newest generation of lawyers for the wildlife. And also with a growing awareness that relying on the rule of law, which is what we do, is not determinative of the role of law to advance environmental protection and justice. And so it's kind of a pleasure, a privilege. It's also very time-consuming and demanding, but it's always very energizing to keep moving the needle and working with the kind of organization we get to work in Georgetown County and throughout the state.
Definitely. I mean, so let's talk more about the structure of Scelp. Maybe Amy, this is like a question for you. Can you talk about like who's part of our team? How does Scelp work?
So the Scelp structure, and we have 3 offices in the state, and one in Greenville, one in Mount Pleasant, and then here in Georgetown, which is our home office and where I'm located. We have a team of 6 lawyers and 5 support staff, and so that includes, paralegal, of course, Filippo and Lorraine, and it's really a team effort that we are able to be able to do this work. And so I think that hopefully is your structural question.
Definitely. I'd like to think of us as a small but nimble team, but we're also supported by a huge network of especially with last year's Palmetto Giving Day, we had donations across the country. It was really inspiring to see, I think several hundred people, was it 400 people, Filippo?
Mm-hmm. Over
400 people band together and help support our mission. So I agree with what you say when you say it's a family. I'd like to also ask other members of this talk, what are some Scelp cases or issues that are particularly meaningful to you? We'll start with Filippo.
Well, just because it's certainly very meaningful, because it's also quite timely, is some work we're doing to prevent a seemingly small commercial development on wetlands. But the potential legal implication of the case could be very, very wide-ranging. And so that's on Beresford Creek. It's something that I'm really excited about. I guess we should also, even though it's likely behind us, we should all mention and just raise a toast to the success against seismic testing, which was a cross-state, cross-boundary and organization effort, and that was kind of put to bed or to rest last November, and that was definitely something that had a lot of our attention and concern, but luckily that's passed. Mm-hmm. I don't know, I'm based out of the Mount Pleasant office, and so I'm in Georgetown less often than I used to in the early days, but it's exciting to know that we still have the headquarters here. Bess and other board members are very well rooted in the community, not to mention him, who's kind of a pillar of it.
What about you, Bess? Do you have any particular cases or issues that are meaningful to you?
Well, I think I personally would answer that question by just going through some of the main issues in the cases Scelp is handling. So new construction, new development in areas where we shouldn't be developing, and it's just going to lead to bad consequences and hindering the public from enjoying public access that the public has right now due to these developers. That's a trend and a fight that Scelp takes on valiantly. Representing rural communities against similar development and protecting how the development is going to move forward and helping legislators understand the issues and coordinate those efforts with environmental issues, and understanding how lawyers can work together with the public to fight for what we drink and what we breathe every day, as Amy said.
And what about you, Amy? Any particular cases or issues?
I've had a little bit of time to mull on this question.
Yeah.
I'm still coming up a little bit blank, and that's just because I have certainly, there are some cases that I've really enjoyed working on myself as a professional and have really derived a lot of satisfaction out of seeing some victories. But honestly, every time we take legal action, whether it's formal or informal, on behalf of a community that's facing either an environmental threat or an environmental injustice, and we're able to help them and see some protections, those are my favorite. Mm-hmm. So they're all anytime, because the feeling of being able to help a community, help citizens. I'm thinking of, most recently with the King Tract mine down in Awendaw, when we were able to achieve successes, even though we may be, not all the way through the process with King Tract mine, knowing how much the community appreciates us and that we're doing work for them because it's in the broader public interest. And all of our work is aimed at protecting the public's interest in whether it's water quality or habitat or their recreational use or their own human health. And so anytime that we're able to do that and achieve success, those are my favorites.
Good answer. I'd like to ask one final question to our panel, I suppose. What is a particularly memorable Palmetto Giving Day experience that you've had? I'm gonna start with Filippo because he told me his.
Well, yeah, I have an easy one because I was kind of surprised that it happened, but it did. It was, I think, 3 years ago when we reached our goal for that year at 11:11 at night. And so at first I understood the meaning of the 11th hour, the expression. So yeah, that's it. And then I broke into a happy dance because there was such a build-up of tension, and there was a staff member with me, so I have witnesses. It's not just me telling the story, but it was definitely a fun and very satisfactory moment.
Yeah, that was when we celebrated at the Polly's Island Tavern.
Yes, but we hadn't reached
the goal yet, but that was my most memorable one too, because it was it was a nail biter. It was a nail biter all the way up to the very end. Are we gonna make it? Are we gonna make our goals? And so being able to make your goal just less than an hour before the end of Palmetto Giving Day was like, yes. So, and of course with Filippo's enthusiasm and energy.
I may have danced there too, but it was the following year.
What about you, Beth?
Well, I think this will be my first year, on the Scelp board for Palmetto Giving Day, so I'm excited about that. But I can share, after serving on other nonprofits in the county, last year was really memorable and special because of COVID. COVID hit, and we weren't able to have the fundraising events during the year that we normally do, and any of the nonprofits really. And so Palmetto Giving Day was even more significant. We really need to try to raise money on this day, and then we weren't able to have the meetings and there was a physical presence to Palmetto Giving Day as well, which had to be adjusted due to COVID. And but everybody seemed to hit their goals, and people came out of the woodwork and donated, and were so generous last year. I thought it was really moving, and it made me proud to be part of this community.
And since Beth touches on this, I want to add one thing about, we are hopefully coming out of the pandemic. Last year was clearly in the midst of the harshest first phase and everything. Something that I think I can say for all the participants to Palmetto Giving Day, we share a vision for a better future, which to a great extent is a healthier future. Mm-hmm. The way Scelp is working toward that future is doing all we can for having a legal system that affirms and enforces the primacy of healthy ecosystem, as Amy was saying at the beginning, and so that we can really make progress for environmental protection and justice in Georgetown County and across the state.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I hope that the folks who are watching will help us achieve our goals. I'd like to say that we have a $50,000 match thanks to the generous support of our board of directors and other amazing donors. So our goal is to raise the full $100,000, and it's a great opportunity for you to support the work that we do all over our state, from fighting sprawling developments across Greenville County to protecting our coastal ecosystem. So I really encourage you to donate. It's really easy. Just head on to our Palmetto Giving Day profile on the website, and yeah, I thank you for watching, and I hope to have a great Palmetto Giving Day 2021.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.